So I thought it would be a great time to talk about the DHS Secretary Kristi Noem being replaced by Mark-Wayne Mullin, because this past a few days there's just been a lot of talk, and over the last month there has been just a lot of discussion on some of the negativity and why she was being replaced and many other things. And so I want to kind of do a little bit of a deep dive on some of the, I don't want to say conspiracy, but some of the stuff behind the scenes, but also what might be coming up, and also some of the other context clues that we have to look at, because the way that media and many others are painting it, it just looks like, oh, one person being replaced by the other and not a lot of work is being done, or good work hasn't been done, and a lot of assumptions behind it. So I want to take a look at what Trump said, some of the other comments, and just some analysis. So let's get right into it. So back on March 6th, this is when Trump officially announced that the Secretary of Homeland Security would be replaced and that Kristi Noem would move to a special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, a new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere that he announced. And he thanked her for her service. So there wasn't any negativity in the way that he replaced, in some sense, Kristi, because in past areas he has on many numerous occasions, whether it for the optics purposes or to make sure that it's throwing people, especially the deep state or whatever, off guard, he would say certain things and it would be played out in the public to kind of throw people off. And in this case, it's been a little bit clean. And yes, there has been news of Kristi and the media trying to get at her with some corruption charges and various other things about luxury. And I don't even know the full story, but basically, this is when he first said it. And this is when Secretary of State Marco Rubio also endorsed Kristi Noem, for this position, saying that he looks forward to working with her as a special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, which he says is comprised of 13 countries. And here's some interesting commentary by Joe Lange, where he says, do people still think Trump fired Kristi Noem? It's actually the opposite. Do you think the head of the newly created, quote, Shield of the Americas is an inconsequential position? It's not, in some sense, a downgrade or a demotion. Why would the head of DHS, who has been coordinating the deportation of tons of illegals who recently crossed our southern border, be so important in this new position? As I've pointed out recently, there's a reason why Kristi Noem recently did a massive hiring of new ICE agents, and ICE has been busy purchasing large facilities across the country for new detention centers. Are you catching the signal? Have you been paying attention to the recent huge court wins for Trump? The courts have been backing all Trump's efforts to deport all illegals. Coincidence? The table is being set for massive deportations. Anybody remember what gigantic Supreme Court ruling is coming? Birthright citizenship. Do you realize that when Trump wins that massive court ruling, he will have the legal authority to deport a massive amount of illegals? Many will self-deport just to have the opportunity to try and come back legally. And where does Kristi Noem fit in? She knows the plan. The groundwork has already been laid in America for mass deportations. Now Trump needs to coordinate with the other countries to accept all of these illegals being deported. This is a complete realignment of the entire Western Hemisphere, a coordinated effort by all countries to end illegal immigration, drug and human trafficking, along with national security. While the people who think everything is about politics miss what's happening. Trump is completely transforming our entire Western Hemisphere in order to protect future generations, while also transforming the entire world. I keep telling people, think much bigger. And even Kristi Noem recently posted that as special envoy for the Shield of Americas, I will build on the years of national security expertise I forged during my time as Secretary of Homeland Security, meaning that this is a step up, a promotion in some sense, to do the work that has been tasked to her. And something you have to remember is that back in 2020, up to January 2021, after the infamous, election stealing and all of that before January 6th, there was a huge turnover. And a lot of us, as we were researching, were looking at it from the perspective of the continuity of government. Why would Trump, if he was a lame duck president leaving before Biden would have come in, why did he have such a huge turnover in staff? Because remember, there was some kind of devolution going on, some kind of continuity of government, namely some of these big positions, Secretary of Defense, Kash Patel, who is now FBI director, being underneath Christopher Miller, the DOD's chief of staff, and then many others, the Pentagon policy chief, undersecretary for intelligence. Christopher Miller is a huge one, right? And then Will Barr, right? Bill Barr, the attorney general, resigning in 2020, and many other appointees, even Ezra Cohen Watnick. So many of these guys were coming up, and in a flurry of these changes, had people wondering, why is it that so much was being done literally with 1 month left before a quote unquote turnover to Biden? And again, this is back in 2021. And you got to realize that there is strategy behind this whole operation. If you want to include Q in there, if you want to include the white hats, that has to divvy up the responsibility, the level of control and stewardship and all these things that's happening behind the scenes. Not one person can handle all of it. And so, yes, there's probably some life changes and some events that are happening that are very common, especially like if you work in corporate America, you understand some of the turnover there. So there's some of that happening. But for the most part, the chessboard, the pieces on the board are being moved strategically for some purpose. And in this case, with Kristi Noem, there's a lot going on. And then with him coming in, Mullin coming in, there's a lot more to be done. And just the other day, Trump posted this on Truth Social. He says the radical left Democrats and their leader, crying Chuck Schumer, have made it very clear where they stand, and that is on the side of criminal illegal aliens and not the American people. Again, reiterating this message, right, with Kristi Noem and all of this realignment. They're refusing to fund immigration enforcement unless the Republicans agree to their open border policies, which will never, ever happen. Again, they almost destroyed our country, allowing 25 million people to enter from prisons, mental institutions, and insane asylums, those that are drug dealers, and thousands of murderers, many of whom killed more than one person, because the Democrats have recklessly created a true national crisis. I'm using my authorities under the law to protect our great country, as I always will do. Therefore, I'm going to sign an order instructing the Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark-Wayne Mullin, to immediately pay our TSA agents in order to address this emergency situation and to quickly stop the Democrat chaos at the airports. It is not an easy thing to do, but I'm going to do it. I want to thank our hardworking TSA agents and also ICE for the incredible help they have given us at the airports. I will not allow the radical left Democrats to hold our country hostage any longer. And listen to the comment that Clandestine here says. Trump announces that the Democrats have created a, quote, true national crisis, end quote, and he's ordering the DHS Secretary Mullin to pay TSA agents to address this, quote, emergency situation, end quote. But the most important part is Trump is confirming that he is willing to use the full array of powers as POTUS to, quote, protect our great country, as I always will do, end quote. He's confirming that he's not going to let the Dems destroy this nation, but he is willing to use emergency powers to do it. This is huge. This is what I mean when I say Trump will be forced to go the, quote, executive route, end quote. As POTUS, he has the broad unilateral authority to do what is necessary to defend NatSec and the survival of the Republic. And here in parentheses, Insurrection Act. Like I have been preaching, the decision to save this nation has already been made. Defeat is not an option. There's no turning back. This is warfare, and Trump is going to win in many ways. He has already won, and we're just witnessing the public rollout. Again, highlighted here, I'm using my authorities under the law to protect our great country, as I always will do. And you know that when the media attacks his new appointments and the talk show hosts like Jimmy Kimmel and these guys talk about this, and then Trump has to fire back, he's a loser, talking about Jimmy Kimmel gets no ratings, no talent. Mullin is fantastic, became very successful, took over a small company, very smart guy. When these attacks happened, this happened the first administration and through the second administration, then you're on to something. If the media is so warm and welcoming and loves everybody, then there's something fishy there. If he's being attacked, there's something else that's happening, in some sense, coordinated media attack, and you're going down the right path in some sense, because there's something of a smear campaign. There's something of this public perception that is being manipulated or biased, in a sense, by some of this effort, the coordinated media effort. And so the big point here is that it's not what it seems on the outside. There's something happening, there's something going on, and there's divisions of responsibility, and there's next steps, next phases. And as Trump is working to project this and counter some of the media and the narratives, you're going to see the direction, in some sense, of realignment, of balance, and of trying to take care of some things that a lot of people have been deemed as, or a lot of people have said is conspiracy or something crazy, and it looks bad, and yeah, like a human rights issue and all these things. But because, again, you're masking something that's bad with something else that sounds bad, meaning that, oh, like illegal immigration, and it's a human rights issue, and seeking asylum and all these things. And because this narrative is being portrayed, Trump is working on this not only at a optics and outside perspective level, but also underneath to try to rebalance and make sure that he's cleaning house in the most effective manner. So again, this is one role out of many. And I just want to give, in some sense, reassurance that with all the narratives going on, especially with future staffing and other things, and more of this military operation going on, that there is a natural turnover, but also strategic turnovers that are being done for some reason. So be ready, stay on guard. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below of this particular appointment and some of the transition. Where are we going from this point out? You guys know I am listener support. If you guys want to help me out, me and my team, and all the stuff I'm doing behind the scenes, the ministries, all that, all the information is down below in the link, givesendgo.com/Christian. Thank you guys so much. Love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.